I think it was right for us to do this properly. We do these things really well, and they have an impression on people who have attended the, whichever king or president has attended. They always feel slightly overawed by the nature of what we do in the UK with these sort of state occasions. And it's important here, particularly because of the USA. The USA is critical in so many areas with us, not least of which is to do with trade and finishing off this trade deal. But the other bit really is the war in Ukraine and the threat of China. And these are the two biggest issues right now, with Russia, Iran, North Korea, and China linked together in a kind of alliance, as you saw about 2 weeks ago in Beijing. This is a real threat to the way we live our lives, and not one of us can actually deal with this ourselves. And so we need to have our greatest ally alongside us on this one, and really also trying to persuade them that these things are all connected, and that if Ukraine goes down, Taiwan will be next. And I think it's important during the course of the discussions today, the Prime Minister does say that we need to be together on all of these things. We need to help Zelensky fend off the Russians, and that means more weapons from the USA and sanctions from the USA on oil and gas, and Europe stepping up and not buying Russian oil and gas. All these things have to be discussed today, and it's a way of bringing all of NATO together and keeping America locked into Europe, which is absolutely vital.
Interesting. Against that backdrop of global tumult, if you like, are you saying to people who may not like Donald Trump himself and what he's done before, and he's a convicted criminal, and his point of view on women, accused of being a misogynist, are you saying to those people that we have to pick a side, and the US is our closest ally, and there is a battle in the world right now for, well, ultimately the West, for democracy against what we're seeing to the east of us? Is that what you're saying?
Well, state relations are not and should never be about individuals. They are about the position the individual holds and the importance of those relations between the states. I mean, we've had Biden and Obama, we've had Donald Trump twice. They're all leaning in different directions, but the key component for the UK, no matter whether you have a Labour government, a Conservative government, or whatever, is that we have to keep that alliance very strong, because it is the leadership of the developed Western world, and all our freedoms rest on that link. And so, at the beginning, when there looked like there was going to be a break, it's the right thing to do, to make a real issue about that and try and keep America on board, because our whole future freedoms and safety rely on the West, the free world, being able to lead rather than being overdone by Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran, who pose a distinct and terrible threat to us all.
Just stepping back a little bit, Iain Duncan Smith, if we can, from the sort of party politics. Do you think the government, as things stand, is doing a good job of reaching a compromise, trying to push its own agenda on Ukraine, on the recognising of a Palestinian state, on net zero aspirations and everything else, with Donald Trump, who puts America first?
Yeah, I think it's important for a UK government to recognise that we have really two roles in all of this. First of all, our own security and safety, and secondly, trying to make sure that Europe and the USA do not decouple, which is really critical. It's very important, and we have a role to play in that, and always have done, and I believe always will do. So you don't have to agree with somebody on everything. I don't agree with the Prime Minister on a number of different issues. But the one thing I do agree is that this important relationship is not just critical for us, but it is critical for where we go over the next 10 years. And Democrats and Republicans will come and go in the White House, as Labour and Conservatives, etc., will come and go in Parliament. But the main thing really is that we keep this relationship on an even keel, and one that unites those countries that believe in freedom and who believe in democracy and the rule of law, and that is critical, I'm afraid. And so if we don't do this, and if it was allowed to fall away, the winners on this are the totalitarian states, Russia, etc., as well as China and these other countries I've already mentioned. They will dominate what is left of the world, and it will be a terrible world to live in.